Coming up, a flying car flies again. See a Taylor Aerocar land at its new home.
Behind the scenes of crop dusting in California, hear the story of Farm Air Flying Service.
Plus a tale of two bush planes. We take you to where they were made at Ragwood Refactory in Oregon. AOPA Live this week begins in just a moment.
Your plane is a valuable tool. With the Genesis Aerosystems S-Tech 3100 digital autopilot, you can rest assured you will arrive safely to your destination. The 3100 is the industry's most advanced autopilot for single and twin-engine aircraft, providing exceptional workload reduction, safety-enhancing capabilities such as straight and level mode and speed protection. To learn more, visit our website today.
This is AOPA Live This Week with Tom Haynes and Alyssa Cobb.
Hello everyone, and welcome to AOPA Live This Week Home Edition, day 69 for us.
And we're ready for something that's just plain fun, okay? Yep, that's a 1954 Taylor Aerocar arriving at its new home in Colorado. And yep, you did hear it beep as it flew by.
The Aerocar is remains the only standard category certificated flying car. And there are some others that are trying to be flying cars, I guess you could say, but this you can completely detach the wings. You can drive it like a car. You can attach the wings again. You can fly it like an airplane. It is FAA certificated. And despite the efforts of all the manufacturers, think of all the people that are actually working on flying cars. I mean, it's Boeing, there's Airbus, there's Tesla, there's Honda, there are Google, Apple. They're all working on flying cars. But Molt Taylor designed and built a flying car that has proven itself since the early 1950s, and is still the only one in existence.
It's obviously airworthy and roadworthy. It's licensed for the highway. It has about 750 flying hours and 16,000 road miles. I wonder if those are the original tires.
To me, the Aerocar is just a fantastic example of the confluence of kind of aviation technology, automotive technology, and that time when everything was possible right after World War II. People were going to be flying in their cars, and all the world's problems were going to be solved by nuclear power, and et cetera, et cetera. It's just a time of great optimism, and the flying car was certainly one of those results of that optimism.
The new owner of the Aerocar wishes to remain anonymous. Thanks to Justin Dillon of Cirrus for the video. So, Alyssa, that was a great thing to see that airplane, or that car get back up in the air again after all those years.
Right, it's definitely a head turner for sure.
Yeah, that would get attention on any ramp, I believe.
Yep. Well, from folding the wings yourself to the airplane landing itself, French aircraft manufacturer Daher says its new HomeSafe emergency landing system will be available for 2019 and 2020 TBM 940 models. Now, it'll only set you back $85,000 to retrofit your 2019 TBM, and it'll come standard on the 2020 TBM 940s. Now, if you haven't heard about HomeSafe yet, it can take over from an incapacitated pilot and land the aircraft at the closest appropriate airport. Passenger just has to push the button. Garmin developed the Autoland system for its G3000 avionics package. Now, we've showed it to you in operation, a Piper M600 and Cirrus Vision Jet. And Tom, I know you've got firsthand experience sitting along, I guess, as the aircraft landed itself. Now,
yeah, you can't quite say flying when it does it pretty much all by itself. Yeah, it is pretty amazing what they've done, and great to see see it in the TBM 940. And speaking of new aviation technology, French company Volt Aero is working on a new hybrid electric airplane. The company just unveiled details for the new design called the Casio. It'll be a canard with a pusher configuration. The power plant will have a series of electric motors and a piston engine to serve as a range extender. The power plant is undergoing flight tests now in a Cessna 337 Skymaster. And then Volt Aero plans to offer the Casio in 3 configurations from 4 seats all the way up to 10.
Well, now let's turn back the clock to classic aircraft and classic craftsmanship. Kyle Bushman runs the Ragwood Refactory in Crestwell, Oregon. He specializes in restoring tube and fabric aircraft, but he also has a fascination with bush aircraft. Now, here's a look at 2 of his creations, so far apart that we call them the Beauty and the Beast.
The yin and yang is the beauty and the beast. PA-14 is a testament of perfection, beauty, make it perfect, make everything new. And the 175 is, it's all function. The looks weren't the driving force, it was what makes it perform. PA-14, they only made 237, so it was a very rare Piper aircraft. The baseline story for it was, let's make the most beautiful aircraft restoration that we can make. So every single part we made brand new, every single piece of paint, sheet metal we made from scratch. We restored it to be the nicest PA-14 on the planet. We extended the wings, we added VGs, we extended the baggage, we extended the gear, put suspension on the airplane. We made it very versatile. This pushed the limits of backcountry airplanes. And so for me, the learning experience of how nice you really can make a bush aircraft and still have that function. So it's really it's a very nice looking airplane, but it also performs.
Yeah, the Beauty, the PA-14 Beauty, beautiful restoration, paint, interior, everything. And then this, the Beast, the Battle Wagon. We stripped everything out of it that we didn't need. Interior, saved all the weight. Whatever we could find in the hangar, kind of made the panel, cut the holes, stripped all of the non-essential stuff out. Just as basic as it gets. We wanted something just to, get muddy and get dirty and go out and play on a budget, And that's kind of where it ended up.
The 175 isn't a hugely desirable airplane. They're pretty affordable right now. You can get one between $20,000 and $30,000, which grand scheme of things is pretty affordable for aviation. And so this 175 became the perfect fit. If we go experimental exhibition, we can then pull all of that knowledge that's kicking around in the experimental world, and we can be the first ones ever to put slats on a Cessna. We could be the first one ever to do all these mods that have been proven in the experimental world, but to be on a certified airplane would take hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's the function over form. We wanted it to be able to perform very well, but if it sat out in the rain, the hearts wouldn't be broken, it would be fine, it's a truck. But when you get in this particular airplane, you quickly realize it's not your granddaddy's Skylark anymore. It's a very rough, rugged, extreme airplane, but we're doing sub 200-foot takeoffs in an airplane that is a 4-passenger Cessna Skylark. Certified airplane versus experimental airplane. This certified airplane, every single mod and change has been proven and tested through time. The experimental airplane, everything we're trying is brand new. It's never been done before. Both have been really fun airplanes to build, but it's a cool Beauty and the Beast scenario we have here.
You can see more video of the Beauty and the Beast on our YouTube channel and read more about the Ragwood Refactory in the June issue of AOPA Pilot Magazine.
With all that's going on right now, there are a lot of questions about what's going to happen at our public airports going forward. You may have heard you'll have to wear a mask, maybe the TSA will be taking your temperature, that there'll be limits on the bags that you can carry. Well, then what about general aviation airports? Well, a lot more questions than answers. Congress wants to bring some order to all this. The chairs of several key committees and subcommittees have sent a letter to Transportation Secretary Chow and Homeland Security Acting Secretary Wolf. They're asking them to provide leadership for the aviation sector in responding to the COVID crisis. They want a working group to set the rules and guidelines for everything affecting air travel. And those members of Congress told the feds to coordinate with aviation organizations like AOPA to develop the rules.
Yeah, there are many uncertainties with COVID-19, and the food supply chain has shown some vulnerability, but thankfully it's held up overall. And that's thanks in part to aviators who fly as part of agriculture. Right now it's rice planting season in California, and that means ag pilots are busy. AOPA Live's Paul Harrop introduces us to Farm Air Flying Service.
You're at Farm Air Flying Service, located in Sacramento, California. Farm Air started out in 1948, and it was a couple of World War II kids that came back.
There's a real good chance you've eaten rice that was planted or tended to by Farm Air Flying Service. California's Sacramento Valley is one of the nation's biggest rice production areas, and Justin Stas and his crew have the lion's share of work in the region.
I got licensed as an aerial applicator when I was 22. I was learning before that.
Farming is in his blood, but after his father passed away, Justin found a different way to continue the tradition.
That left me in a family business with him no longer, and I was 17 at the time, and I kind of wandered around, but I ended up really always loving the thought of flying airplanes, and it was a thought I adopted from my dad. And you know how flying is, you kind of get involved, and it's a big snowball effect, and pretty soon a lot of money spent and all these ratings.
So Justin was able to take over a storied brand Farm Air has been serving the region for generations. Will Cannon is an A&P and ag pilot for the outfit.
Well, I grew up in Bainbridge, Georgia, and I watched ag planes my entire life, and I thought that, you know, in a town like that, it's like one of the only escapes is your dad's a rich farmer or you leave.
He earned his A&P as a way to pay for his flight ratings and has been all over the world with aviation, and now helps keep food on all of our tables by flying the fields and trees of California.
Feels great. I mean, it's probably the most rewarding ag flying job you can have is flying California rice.
Paul Harrop, AOPA Live.
We are thankful for all the ag pilots who help keep crops growing. You can read more of these profiles on our website. Just go over to aopa.org and search agriculture.
Yeah, it is pretty amazing what they do with those airplanes when it comes to agriculture. I had the opportunity a few years ago to witness a family operation in Arkansas that also works in the rice industry, Arkansas being one of the biggest producers of rice, and that was pretty fascinating, I got to tell you, to see them at work. Well, hey, coming up after the break, remembering VE Day with a gaggle of warbirds.
And living the dream flying off the farm. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody. Last week, we told you all about the commemoration of the 75th anniversary of the end of World War II, VE Day in Europe. And to mark the occasion, a group of pilots in Houston, Texas put together the Fight to the Finish flyover. Nearly 30 warbirds flew over the city for the event. The goal was to honor those who served and sacrificed during World War II and give the people of Houston a little extra hope in these days. The flyover featured airplanes from the Lone Star Flight Museum and the Commemorative Air Force.
Well, these are tough times for many in the industry, but especially for flight training students and providers. Usually at this time of the year, we start a survey where we ask you to tell us about your flight training experience. Then all the feedback is compiled, and in the fall, we usually have an awards ceremony honoring the best flight schools and instructors. Well, this year, our You Can Fly team is doing something a little different.
We believe this is a moment to build community, and we're excited to take this opportunity to celebrate our flight schools and CFIs.
Using social media, we are looking for stories about your flight training experience this year.
We are seeking stories that inspire,
overcome challenges,
demonstrate resilience,
show how flight training contributes to aviation,
and our communities.
Use videos, images, or text to tell us your story.
Please keep your videos to 45 seconds or less.
Post your story on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or TikTok with the hashtag FTE Project by July 31st.
Tell us your story.
Tell us your story.
Tell us your story.
Tell us your story.
The stories will be compiled into a video that will be played at Redbird Migration later this year at an event to inspire the flight training community.
And if you're finished with your primary flight training and have your private pilot certificate, you know there's a lot more to learn, license to learn, as we say. And now Pilot Workshops has a new online course called Private Pilot, The Missing Lessons. The course takes a deeper look at some things you just don't have the time to cover during primary training. topics like planning flights to challenging airports, advanced GPS usage, and an in-depth look at aviation weather. You can find the course at the Pilot Workshop's website.
And another learning resource for VFR pilots is a new series of articles AOPA is putting together called VFR Unleashed. The first in the series is 500 miles and beyond. Now, the goal of the articles is to expand your horizons on long cross countries and face complex decision making with confidence. You can find the articles in our Travel Pilot email newsletter. Sign up at the link on your screen.
And you want a great flight planner to make those trips, and would you like to learn about a new one? Our new iFlight Planner. That's our new online flight planner. It has a bunch of nifty features that'll help you out in those kind of trips. And Tuesday, we'll have a live webinar to help you make the most of this free flight planning tool for AOPA members. The webinar is Tuesday, 8 p.m. You'll find it on YouTube.
Now, if you fly with a Garmin GNS 400 or 500 series navigator, there's a change you should know about. Garmin will end WAS upgrades for these units at the end of the month. Many pilots updated their navigators to meet ADS-B out requirements, so the updates were popular as the ADS-B mandate approached. Well, now that that mandate is in effect, demand has dropped. You can still submit a WAS update order until the end of the month, but Garmin must receive the unit by the end of June.
Well, hey, it's a dream for many of us, but for one Tennessee man, he makes it a reality. John Humbert built a Zenith 701 and flies it off his farm. He sent us this clip.
Yeah, my name's John Humbert. I live in Cleveland, Tennessee, just outside of Chattanooga, southeast end. I fly a Zenith 701. I call it the Super 701. I've got 130 horsepower in it. I'm a farmer. I just walked to the top of the hill so I could talk to you here. You might be able to see the cows in the background. Pretty much all of my flying is stolen in some form or another. I have about a 350-foot runway. With the Zeniths I've got, I've probably never used more than about half of it, but just about all of the things I do is off a grass strip of some form or another. We had a lot of fun. We flew at the spot in Alabama. We followed the river up from a pretty main lake and got down below the canyon in a few spots. It's just a beautiful area out here in the southeast.
Thanks to John and the others who have sent us video. We really appreciate that. And if you have some video of a recent flight you've made and like us to feature it, send it to the address there on your screen.
Well, that's it for our show this week. Thanks for joining us.
Like, comment, and subscribe. Send us your thoughts. We'd like to hear from you, and we'll see you again next week.
Purchasing your own aircraft is an exciting experience. AOPA Finance simplifies the process, saving you money with lower interest rates and hassle-free loans, so you get into your new aircraft sooner. AOPA Finance, the right approach to buying an aircraft.